If you want to add a real AI chatbot to your website using Google AI Studio, this video is for you. Today, we are going to integrate a chatbot powered by Gemini directly into our website. And most importantly, we are going to do it the right way. I will show you how to create and protect your API keys, how to add system instructions and guardrails so your chatbot stay focused on your business, how to deploy everything using GitHub and Netlify completely free, and if you stick around until the end, I will also show you how to fix a very common problem people run into when deploying with Netlify. When your site deploys, but you only see a blank page. Now, just so you know, this is part 3 of a series. In part 1 and 2, I showed you how to build and deploy a full website using Google AI Studio for free. If you haven't watched those yet, I recommend you do, especially if you want to follow the exact same workflow. But if you already built a website using Google AI Studio and you just want to add a chatbot to it, this video will be more than enough for you. Alright, that's enough talking, let's get started. Here we are inside Google AI Studio, and the first thing we are going to do here is create the chatbot itself. For this video, I will be using a plumbing website, which is one of the websites we built earlier in part 1 of this series. So I will start by asking Gemini to generate something that sits in the corner of the page and allows visitors to ask questions about the plumbing service. I'll give it a prompt like this: create a floating chatbot for my website using Gemini. The chatbot should appear in the bottom corner of the page and allow users to send questions and receive responses from Gemini. The greeting message should be, "Hey, I'm Hadi, your plumbing AI assistant. How can I help you today?" We hit submit, and while Gemini is working in the background, let's quickly talk about API keys. So for the chatbot to actually talk to Gemini, we will need an API key, which is basically a private key that allows your website to communicate with Google Gemini. Think of it like a password. It tells Google that your website is allowed to send requests to Gemini and receive responses back. Every API key is unique to your account, which means that any usage made with that key is associated to you. That's why it's extremely important to keep your API key private and secure. You should never share it public, never include it directly in your website code, and never upload it anywhere online where other people could see it. Now, just before we create our key, looks like Gemini finished our chatbot here, so let's have a quick look at it. Here it is, and if I click on it, we can actually see the greeting message. That's perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our API key. I'll click on back to start at the top, and inside Google AI Studio, down the bottom here, we go ahead and click on Get API Key. From here, click Create API Key in the top right corner, then give your key a name. If you already have a project created, you can just select it here. If not, click Create New Project, give your project a name, and click Create. Once the project is ready, click Create Key, and Google will generate a unique API key for you. Let's go ahead and copy our key and store it somewhere safe for now, because we will need it in the next step. If you ever need to delete your keys, just click on the 3 dots next to it and choose Delete Key. Now, before I show you how to properly connect your API key to your chatbot, I want to show you a very common mistake people make when working with API keys. And I think the best way to explain this is by actually doing it the wrong way first, so you can see the problem live. What many people do is give Gemini the API key directly in the prompt and ask it to build the chatbot using that key. They use a prompt like this: create a floating chatbot widget for my website using Gemini. Here's my API key. And they paste the key directly in the prompt. So I've submitted this prompt before and deployed the site on Netlify, so you can actually see what happens. If you are not sure how to deploy your site for free on Netlify using the drag and drop method, make sure to watch part 1, or just stick around because later in this video I will show you how to deploy your site using GitHub. Just a quick note, Google recently changed the location of the download button in AI Studio. It used to appear here, but now you only see if you click on code, and then the download option is right here. So here's the website running live. Let's click on the chatbot and ask a question. And before I hit submit, I want to show you something. I'm going to right click, select inspect. Don't worry, we are not going to get technical here. Just stick with me for a few seconds. Let's go to the network tab. Now let's hit submit and see what happens. Can you guys see what this is? This is basically our API key. What this means is that anyone visiting your website could open the browser, copy your key, and start using it themselves. Google gives us a pretty generous free tier when we start using Gemini. So in the beginning, you probably won't pay for anything, but if your website grows and more people start using the chatbot, eventually you will need to add billing to your account. And if your keys is exposed like this, anyone could use it, and those requests would still be charged on you. So please don't make this mistake. Now that you know what not to do, let me show you how to do it safely. There are several different ways we could secure an API key, but the simplest approach is to use something called a proxy function. A proxy function acts like a middleman between your website and the Gemini API. Instead of your browser calling Gemini directly, the request goes through this function first. Even though we write the function alongside our website code, when we deploy the site on Netlify, for example, it actually runs on the server side. That means our API key stay hidden and secure, and the function handles the communication with Gemini for us. I know this might sound a little technical at first, but don't worry, I will show you exactly how to do it step by step. So I'm back into my project and I will use the following prompt. Please generate a Netlify serverless function that acts as a proxy between my front-end chatbot and the Gemini API. And here I add some function requirements and deployment configuration. I have saved all the prompts we use today in my Google Drive, so there is a link in the description below if you want to follow along. We hit submit. And now we can just wait for Gemini to do its magic. Once it's done, if we scroll up a bit, we can actually see that Gemini has created the Netlify serverless function and also update the chatbot so our API key is never sent to the browser. Now we just need to make sure we add our Gemini API key to Netlify environment variables. It's very simple to do. We go to Netlify projects, click project configuration, and then open environment variables. I already have mine set up here, but I will quickly show you how to create yours. Click add variables, then choose add a single variable. For the key name, make sure to enter Gemini underscore API underscore key. Then paste the API key we copied earlier from Google AI Studio right here. Then finally click create variable. Since I already have mine created, I will just click cancel for now. Now we just need to deploy the project again so Netlify can inject the environment variables. To do that, go back to project overview and simply drag and drop the project file you downloaded from Google AI Studio. Netlify will rebuild the site, and once it's done, we can test the chatbot again. Let's click on the chatbot and ask the same question we asked before. And again, I will right click and inspect the page, go to the network tab, and then submit the message. And as you can see, the API key is no longer exposed in the browser. And that means the proxy function is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's protecting our API key on the server side. And the same idea applies to many other API services. For example, if you are using the Google Maps API, you would follow a very similar approach to keep your API key secure. I hope you guys got the idea here. All right, just before we move on, I want to quickly talk about something very important when building chatbots: system instructions and guardrails. Right now, our chatbot already has some guardrails in place, and I will show you what I mean. For example, if I ask the chatbot something like, "What's the weather in Sunshine Coast today?" you can see that our chatbot gives a polite response explaining that it can't help it with that. But depending on the question, the chatbot could still easily go off topic simply because it's powered by Gemini. What we actually want is a chatbot that is focused only on the business, a chatbot that answers questions related to the website and the service offered, and nothing else. To do that, we provide the chatbot with system instructions. These instructions tell Gemini exactly how the chatbot should behave. There are several ways we can implement this, but in this case, I'm going to show you the simplest approach, which is called context injection. We basically create a knowledge base with anything you want the chatbot to know about the company, the service offered, business hours, price information, contact details, and so on. To do that, I have my own template I created using Markdown language, which is basically basically plain text format structure that makes it easier for the AI to go through. I'll make sure to include it in my Google Drive as well, with all the other prompts we use today. If you create yours using Word, you can simply convert it to Markdown by going to a free website called Word2MD, and I will show you how to do that in a sec. All you need to do is go through the template and update the fields. For example, at the top here, you change the name of the business, and then in the business knowledge base section, you add all the details about the company. Further down, you can add things like contact information, how the chatbot should respond if it doesn't know the answer, how it should handle off-topic questions, the tone of voice, and formatting rules for responses. So I have prepared some instructions earlier for my plumbing site, and as you can see, it's fairly long because I added as much information as possible. It is in Word format for now, and if we go to Word to Markdown and simply upload our file, we have a Markdown right here. We copy it, go back to AI Studio, paste it here, and hit submit. Looks like Gemini is done here, so let's download the project again, head to Netlify and redeploy so we can test it again. Let's give it a moment. And here it is. Let's ask a question from our knowledge base. That way we know our chatbot is answering based on that. So let's have a quick look here. And maybe we ask about the business hours. So we go back to the site, we click on the chatbot and we ask, what are your operating hours? We hit submit and there you go. Regular hours are Monday to Friday, 7 to 5, Saturday, 8 to 1, and they also operate a 24/7 emergency service, which match exactly with what we have in our knowledge base. Now, I want to show you something else that can make your workflow much easier. So far, I have only showed you how to deploy your website on Netlify using the drag and drop method, but now I want to show you a more professional workflow using GitHub. GitHub is completely free, and you can sign up using your existing Google account. GitHub will basically act as the bridge between Google AI Studio and Netlify, making it very easy to update and redeploy your website whenever you make changes. So here's how we do it. At the top here, click on Share, and then on the side, choose GitHub. Then you will need to sign in to your GitHub account. If this is your first time using GitHub with Google AI Studio, it will ask you to install and authorize access. Just scroll down to the bottom here and click Install and Authorize. If you don't have a GitHub account yet, you will be prompted to create one. You can easily sign up using your existing Google account. Once you're signed in, you'll be asked to create a repository name and a repository description. Just choose a name that clearly identifies your project so it's easy to recognize later. Then select Private for the repository and finally click Create GitHub Repository. Now it's time to sync all the changes we made to GitHub. Here we can see a list of all the changes in the project, and all we need to do is click Stage and commit all changes here at the bottom. Once that's done, you will see a message saying no change to commit. That simply means all your work has now been pushed to GitHub. So every time you make a significant change to your site, just click Share again and commit the changes. Now let's deploy our site on Netlify using GitHub. We go back to Projects, click Add New Project, and then select Import an existing project. Choose GitHub this time and sign in to your GitHub account. I will just continue using Google. I'll select my account. Here we can see a list of all repositories we have in our account. Just simply select the one you want to deploy. In my case, it's Hudson Plumbing. We click on it. Next, we choose our Netlify team. Mine is called Websites. Then we choose the project name, which is basically the name that will appear on the site URL. Since I'm already using Hudson Plumbing, I will just add hub into the end here. Down here at the bottom, we can leave everything else as it is. But before we deploy, we need to make sure we add the environment variables. So let's click Environment Variables, then choose Add Key. Now we go back to AI Studio, exit the projects, and click Get API Key. We copy our key here, then go back to Netlify. We name the key Gemini_API_key, paste the key, and click Deploy. Now we just wait for Netlify to build and deploy our site, and looks like like it's done. Here it is. Now, every time you make changes to your site inside AI Studio, we just need to commit the change to GitHub, and within few seconds, Netlify will automatically redeploy the updated version of your website. So the new version will basically replace the existing one. Now, just before we wrap up, I want to talk about something that a lot of people have mentioned in the comments of my previous videos: the black screen or white screen after deploying a site on Netlify. Many people run into this issue, and because there can be several different causes for a black screen after deployment, it would be impossible for me to cover every single one of them. So instead of going through every possible error, I want to show you guys how to quickly find the real cause of the problem and fix it yourself. That way, if it ever happens again, you know exactly what to do. So here I have two examples of websites deployed on Netlify. One of them shows a white screen and the other one shows a black screen. What we are going to do is inspect the page and look for the error. Let's start with the white screen. Once your site's open, simply right click anywhere on the page and click inspect. Then go to the console tab. Now, don't worry if this looks a bit intimidating at first. Even if you don't know how to code, what we are looking for here is actually very simple. We are mainly looking for red flag errors. These red flags usually indicate something that's breaking the site and preventing it from loading it properly. For example, here we have two errors. The first one says fail to load module script, expected JavaScript, and so on and so forth. And the other one, fail to load resources and the server is responding with a status 404. Here I can see that the important error is coming from the top message, because the one at the bottom is related to a favicon, which is just a small icon that appears in the browser tab when we open the site. So that one wouldn't actually break the site, but honestly, you don't need to spend too much time analyzing every detail here, because what we are going to do next is simply copy the error message and give it to Gemini so it can help us identify and fix the problem. So let's go back to AI Studio and we will use this prompt here. I just deploy my website on Netlify and I'm getting a white screen. My browser console shows the error below. Can you identify the cause and fix any errors? Ignore any yellow warnings for now. Then we go back to our site, copy the entire log, and paste it here so Gemini can do the heavy lifting for us. We hit submit and Gemini will not only tell us what the problem is, but it will often fix the code for us as well. Once that's done, we simply download the updated code, then we head to Netlify and we redeploy our site again over the existing one. We wait and our site's live again. If I inspect the page once more, you will notice we still have a few yellow or orange warnings, but those don't usually break the site. For example, this one here is telling us that the Gemini API key is missing. So chances are there is an AI feature somewhere on the website, but the API key hasn't been set up yet. And the fix for that is exactly the same strategy we used earlier when we create the chatbot. Simply create a proxy function and add the API key as an environment variable in Netlify, and the problem should be resolved. Let's have a quick look on the other side. This one we have a black screen, so I right click and click inspect, then console. Here we have a few more errors. One of them is related to CSS. CSS controls things like the layout, colors, fonts, and styling of the website. So even if we have a problem with the CSS file, the website would usually still load. It would just look broken. So that's probably not the main cause of the black screen. The second warning is related to Gemini API key, which we already know how to fix it. So the real problem here is actually the third warning. But again, you don't need to analyze any of these because Gemini will. The idea here is the same. We copy the entire error and paste it into Gemini, and it will fix any problem for you. I think this is the best approach because instead of trying to guess what the problem might be, we can actually work together with Gemini to identify the issue and get the solution much faster. So if you ever get stuck with a black screen after deployment, remember the console is your best friend here, and Gemini can help you interpret the error. And that's pretty much it. In this video, you'll learn how to build a real chatbot powered by Gemini and how to use the proxy function to keep your API key secure on the server side. We also covered how to deploy your website using GitHub and how to identify and fix one of the most common issues people run into on Netlify, the black screen after deployment. If you are following this series, make sure to check out part 1 and 2, where we build and deploy the website from scratch using Google AI Studio and Netlify completely free. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, as it really helps to support the channel. And if you have any questions or run into any issues, feel free to leave a comment below. I always try to help where I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.